Today's topic is titled, When It Doesn't Feel Good. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 7 to 8, it says, "Therefore, in order to keep me from becoming conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me." Paul was saying this because in the scriptures before that, what I read, he was actually exposed to something good. He experienced a part of heaven that could not even be explained. The exposure to something good was actually connected to him experiencing something that was not good. And that is what he referred to as a thorn in his flesh. He considered it a messenger from Satan, and its purpose was actually to keep Paul humble. In that verse that I just read, in verse 7, it said to keep him from becoming conceited. In order for us to not become conceited, we need to learn to stay humble. So that was the purpose of God giving him or allowing that thorn in his flesh, whatever that thing was, to remain. He asked God 3 times to remove the thorn, and God's response is in verse 7. Is going to actually be in verse 9, and I'll read that now. "But he said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.'" Paul was told pretty much that he had to deal with it. He was also told why. And that is because God's power is made perfect in our weakness. There was a situation in my life where I was dealing with 2 unlovable people. I had developed a tolerance of dealing with one of those people at a time. I didn't want to deal with both of them at a time. But there was a time when I felt that God was leading me to deal with both of them at the same time. I considered and prayed just like Paul did, remove me from this situation. Don't allow me to go through this and have to deal with both of these people who are unlovable at the same time. Just give me one of them to deal with. And God told me the same thing that he told Paul. My grace is sufficient. His grace was shown to me in 3 ways that I would like to point out. One is, one of the people that I had to deal with was actually a person that I liked. I just didn't like their unlovable ways, but I personally liked them. The other way that his grace was shown to me was that I was not alone. I did not have to deal with both of these unlovable people by myself. So I didn't have to rely on my own strength to do it. It was definitely something that I got through, and in order for me to get through it, I had to really remain and abide close to God and ask him to help me do it because I didn't feel like I could, and personally, I didn't want to. The third way that God's grace was shown to me is that was just a season. One of those people is actually no longer here on earth. When it doesn't feel good, we need to remember that God's grace is sufficient. It's enough. That season in my life, as I said before, made me actually draw closer to God. And I just want to let someone know that if you're going through a challenging time in your life, know that you may still have to go through it, but know that God's grace is sufficient. It really is enough. It's not enough for us to go through it on our own, but his grace is sufficient. My encouraging scripture is going to come from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future."